Good afternoon, everyone. We are Group 8, a team of 4. Today, we focus on the organized opposition to the gig economy, a defining practical economic challenge for global platform business like Uber. And its core, this issue refers to growing coordinated pushback against digital platform labor models that rely on precarious, no-standard work instead for formal employment. It seems from the broader profit street, while stable long-term contracts have been replaced by undermanned gigs with minimal security, marking a sharp break from the 43 year to part-time, lifelong employment. Okay, the next one, background conditions have made this population unavailable. Google workers across platforms and systematically denied base protections, including sick leave, median wage, maternity benefits, and rights to college beginning. The COVID-19 pandemic dramatically exposed that vulnerabilities, turning public and regulatory attention to work insecurity or access rating remains unchanged. Meanwhile, decades of denied earning memberships and we need traditional worker power, lending to a new force of business, legal challenges and policy force tackling platforms. For a particular economic perspective, the issue raises a fundamental clash. Platform companies prioritize flexibility and cost efficiency, while government labor growth and civil sustaining demand alignment with long-established labor rights. The result is increasing projects to reclassify gig workers as employees rather than independent contractors, a trend to returning intends to core business model of rehiring and developing platforms worldwide, focusing things to choose between their system structure and compliance with evolving social and labor expectations.
Now we have a clear understanding of what this issue is. Let's take a dive into the question of why this organization option to Uber's gig economy model emerges. The business model of Uber underpins the development of its structural tenets among Uber drivers, governments, and other stakeholders. The first use case is risk shifting and structural precarity. Uber has the mechanism of classifying its drivers as independent contractors, and this mechanism brings the benefit of flexibility and scalability to Uber. In particular, this enables Uber to avoid responsibility for traditional employment costs, such as minimum wage, provision pensions, health insurance, and other entitlements. This drives the rights shift from Uber to its drivers and society at large. Uber can maximize its profits, however, more burdens are borne by drivers and other stakeholders. The second cause is algorithmic control. Uber's algorithm controls everything from price setting to order acceptance rates and customers' waiting time. In particular, it controls how and when its drivers work with no flexibility or equal treatment afforded to drivers. The third core is married economy instability and earnings volatility that have accelerated this opposition. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Uber drivers had no access to sick pay, social safety nets, and other benefits. Moreover, inflation has led to a significant drop in earnings. The combination of these causes triggers the protest and collective actions against Uber. The fourth cause is regulatory and state protectionism. Although governments lose tax revenues and social security contributions as a result of the current classification model, most governments are reluctant to introduce strict regulations, government driver classification, protection of temporary workers' benefits, and other related issues. In summary, this organized opposition emerged from the growing structural tenets caused by Uber.
Hello, my name is Mo Hao. Today I will show you my presentation. The organized opposition to the gig economy has brought substantial and wide-range impact directly to Uber's global operations, touching its cost structure, legal risk, and long-term business Sustainability. First, Uber faced repeatedly rising operational and noble costs in many major markets. Regulators and cartels are pushing to reclassify drivers from independent contracts to formal employees. This change forced Uber to provide minimum wage, social insurance, sick leave, and other legally required benefits, which significantly increased its total global expenditure and at the same time, its traditional, flexible scheduling and algorithmic dispute models are restricted by new novel rules, weakening the efficiency that has long supported its business model and squeezing overall profit margins. Second, Uber is under heavy legal and regulatory pressure worldwide. The company has been involved in a large number of lawsuits, administrative fines, and even temporary service ban due to workers' misclassification disputes. Different countries and cities have introduced conflicting and constantly changing regulations, creating high operational complexity and uncertainty. Uber must invest heavily in legal teams and policy adaptation to keep up with varying local requirements, which adds further indirect costs to its business. Third, the issue has seriously affected Uber's reputation and investor confidence. Continuous drivers' protest strikes and critical media coverage have damaged its public image and user trust. More importantly, investors are increasingly doubting the long-term political sustainability of Uber's platform-based global model. Stakes, including institutional investors and the general public, are continuously demanding more fair and secure working conditions. Thank you.
So why is the issue durable and important for Uber? Firstly, countries all around the world are putting more emphasis on protecting labour, especially labour in the gig economy. In the UK, British Supreme Court upheld a ruling that Uber drivers should be classified as workers rather than independent contractors. In Spain, a legislation known as Riders' Law mandates that food delivery platforms should categorize couriers as a salaried staff with rights. In China, China's market regulators and 6 other government agencies issued guidelines for the sector, insisting that workers should be paid a minimum wage and on time and provide medical insurance and access to social security. There are other countries that are starting to set regulations to protect the welfare of the labor in the gig economy as well. With the countries all around the world putting more emphasis on protecting labor, it will cause the cost structure of Uber to change, increasing the cost of Uber and therefore reducing the competitiveness of Uber. Secondly, as digital labor platforms expand globally at a steady pace, strong consumer demand will require a large pool of flexible drivers. If Uber's increase in investing in workers' protections, the prices of each delivery will increase and therefore causing the demand of each delivery to fall. In turn, it will hurt the development of Uber. So why is the issue important for Uber? I would like to bring the attention back to the COVID-19 pandemic. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the gig workers faced hard hit as a drastic drop in income. Around 70% of gig workers reported having no income during the pandemic and no protection in healthcare. Uncertainty of such crises may happen again in the future. This poses the issue to not be a temporary issue because the pandemic is one of the causes to the organized oppositions to the gig economy, therefore causing Uber to face an ongoing political pressure and an increase in public awareness and media attention. If the company does not resolve the issue in workers' protections, the ongoing political pressures will last and it will cause a lasting impact on the development of Uber. And therefore, this issue is a very critical issue awaits for Uber to resolve. This is the end of our presentation, and thank you.